For many years, when tourists came to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City for hotels and accommodation, they went to one of two areas. They either went over here to the Central Colonial District, which is basically called District 1, or they went over to this district here, known as the Backpacker District, or, and my Vietnamese pronunciation is really bad, Pham Nu Lao. However, this district tends to be very expensive, while this district is very low priced, but also can be very rock bottom. So, no surprise, in the last few years, we've seen the emergence of a new district, which is where we are right now. And it's right here, sort of in the center between the two districts. It is called Ben Thanh, and it's named after the Central Market, which serves as a hub of the district. Ben Thanh Market, which is not just a hub for the district, but also a hub for the entire city of Saigon. Its convenience is undeniable. Apart from being smack in the center of a sprawling city, the Ben Thanh district is chock-a-block with every kind of shop imaginable. And there's restaurants aplenty. The area is a magnet for tourists on a mid-range budget. The hotels tend to be small and independent. Rates go from around $20 to $40 a night, one of Southeast Asia's great bargains. And in the center of it all is the market, a must-see for any visitor to Ho Chi Minh City. A stroll around inside the market can give you a very sort of convenient and insightful look into the sort of lifestyle of the Vietnamese, because so much stuff is being sold here. Sure, there are souvenirs for the tourists, but there's also a lot of sort of necessities, day-to-day lifestyle kind of things. There's food, there's household stuff, just about anything you can imagine. You have to bargain hard in these places because the price that the vendor gives you is going to be considerably higher than the real sort of market price. So shopping usually entails a fairly prolonged haggling process. On top of that, the prices that you often get here are still going to be higher than what you could get if you just bought the products in question at a conventional store. Really, you're paying kind of for the ambience here, because this market, although it originally started off as a market serving the local people and had a very functional value, now it has really become primarily a tourist attraction. And the vendors realize that, and they know the value of the tourist dollar. If haggling is not your thing, though, you can always come to the east side of the market, where they're selling t-shirts and other kinds of clothes for fixed prices. The notorious weasel coffee, where the beans come out of the rear end of a furry little creature. The authentic weasel coffee apparently is very expensive and very rare. Often the stuff that you'll buy in a place like this, the flavor of the beans is actually emulated to match the flavor, the very nutty and acidic flavor of a bean that's coming out of a weasel's behind. Even so, Vietnamese coffee is a world favorite. It's one of my favorites, and it's always worth picking up a package if you come back from Vietnam. With this video, I can convey pictures and sound, but there's one thing I can't convey, and that's smell. The aroma in this market is quite extraordinary. I wouldn't call it a bad smell, but I'd call it the smell of about 1,000 different things, including fruit, one of the nicer ones, although that also may include the smell of durian, which is quite famous. Once you get tired of the shopping, you can sort of kick back, sit down, have a refreshment or even a meal at one of the many sort of food stalls right in the market. And of course it's done in a very sort of Vietnamese style, which of course the tourists love. We are not making progress. This is one of my favorite streets in Saigon. For one thing, it has a beginning and an end. It runs straight for about 1 block, which is saying something in Saigon with its chaotic traffic. The other thing I like about it is that it's not entirely clogged with vehicles 24/7. This place also happens to be a favorite hangout for Muslim tourists, who basically all of whom are from elsewhere in Southeast Asia, namely Malaysia and Indonesia. The cyclo drivers kind of disappeared for a while because of traffic regulations, but they're sort of back. Like we've been sort of accosted by a couple of guys right now. Generally nice guys, but they can be kind of a bit aggressive or rapacious. He spent the last few minutes trying to sell us a tour, even though, you know, I've been coming here for 20 years and I have a Vietnamese wife. But it's kind of hit and miss if you decide to take a ride with these guys. I mean, some people have said it's a very, let's say, interesting way of seeing the city, whereas other people have said, reported, you know, trying to be ripped off by the guys, agreeing to a price, and then once they hit their destination, the cyclo driver then, at the last moment, demands a much higher price. So ride with caution.